What is going on, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Love and Marriage. This is episode number 4, and this, I believe, is going to be our final podcast, at least in this season of Love and Marriage. And man, before I get going, I just want to thank everybody for just supporting this podcast. 4 episodes. And we've received such great feedback and encouragement from many people that this podcast that we've been doing, the things that we've been talking about, the questions that have been asked, the questions that have been answered, have really been an encouragement to people. I just wanted to share something real funny before we get going. It is morning time, so excuse us. We were at a hockey game last night. It was date night for us last night, and so we got home late and didn't want to sit in front of a camera. Just tired and have to do this. However, we did get up a little extra early this morning. I motivated my wife to get out of bed this morning, and she's angry at me that she has to get up, she has to shower, she has to put on makeup, she has to do her hair, and I just throw on a ball cap. So that's marriage for you right there. But man, again, thank you so much. We're excited to be doing this. A little bittersweet that it's coming to an end, but I do have some ideas of some things I want to do new in the future that I'll share when we get to the end. Remind me to share because I probably won't.
Okay.
Anyways, question number 1 we're going to get to, and hopefully this flows in a pretty good order, but what is the best advice you would give to a newly married couple? What is the best advice?
You have to become one, meaning you have to abandon your old life, your old single life.
Right.
You have to join everything together. The thing that I see people struggling with the most right now is their finances. People want to keep their finances separate even after they're married. And I'm going to be very honest, it doesn't work. You have to be fully one, fully transparent with one another, what you're spending the money on, where it's going, so that when those hurdles come, you guys can at least discuss them.
I have a I'll just call him a friend because I see the guy a few days a week, but dude, like him and his wife literally Venmo money to one another to help pay the bills. That's because crazy. They have freaking separate bank accounts. And I'm like, dude, like, why aren't your bank accounts together? I don't understand. What is it like? What is it the husband is trying to hide, in his finances? And
or
what
the
is
wife.
it? Right, exactly. And I've heard many pastors say before, hand a pastor, your checkbook. Not that anybody, has a checkbook these days. But man, you can tell a lot from a person by where their finances are being spent, what their priorities are. Another thing too that I think newly married couples have a hard time doing. You did mention becoming one, getting rid of your old life. That's not like, we're not saying get rid of your old things that you enjoyed doing, your old hobbies. No, it really is ditching, and you put it so well, ditch the single you and become one. I was reminded yesterday by a friend of ours, a quote out of a book called The Resolution for Men, and it basically says, don't marry. No, excuse me. It says, don't marry the woman you love, but love the woman you marry.
Oh.
And a lot of people, I'm gonna marry the woman I love, and so on and so forth. Well, that's great. Like, no, genuinely marry the woman you love. Right, you can't marry somebody you hate or that you like, but really love the woman you marry. And a lot of younger couples, man, they have a hard time letting go of the things that they love. I think that initially, the honeymoon phase, you're loving each other, you're each other's number one priority, but that fades, man. It really does. It fades, and you lose sight of your priorities. You go back maybe to your relationship being third or fourth or fifth behind, maybe pursuit of money, pursuit of entertainment, pursuit of material pleasures, pursuit of a career, and the next thing you know, like, you know, your marriage and your wife is like third or fourth on the list of priorities, and you start to go down this path that's hard to recover from. And so I think that's really just the best advice that we can give to a newly married couple is become one. Ditch the old single ways, man, the old single habits, and really everything is joint, and joined together. And you know, there's a reason why the scriptures say, "And the two shall become one flesh," right? And I think a lot of married couples, they just continue to live apart, and a lot of marriages aren't successful and end tragically in divorce because they never really were able to come together as one, and really pursue the marriage that God had intended.
I have another piece of advice.
Please.
Pray for each other,
Yeah.
and pray together. I think that's really, really key to get a good foundation going early on in a new marriage.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, I'll admit fault that, like, I didn't pursue that really early on in our marriage. I didn't do that, and you know, it wasn't until many years into our marriage that I understood and realized the importance of not only praying for your spouse, but praying with your spouse. And we've hit on that before in the first couple of episodes, just the importance of praying together. But really, the habits that you form early on in the marriage, they really can be sustained through years and years of marriage, regardless of the ups and downs, right? And because you establish those early on, you know, it kind of goes along with the verse, you know, in Proverbs, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are older, they will not depart from it, right? Well, listen, train your marriage up in the way that it should go biblically. And so when it is older, when you're older, when the marriage is years and years and years in, you will not depart from it because you establish those guidelines and those foundations, those borders really, of trust, and godly habits early on in the marriage. So moving on, question number 2. What are some of the challenges of having a godly marriage?
Oh, Satan hates a godly marriage, so he attacks it even harder than others.
Yeah.
You know, the challenges that come about when things are clicking really well is all of a sudden there'll be this random question mark, like a hiccup that happens along the road, and it makes you go, why did that happen all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Or there'll be something that'll happen that'll cause you to question your spouse. And, you know, at the end of the day, you have to remember that there's always going to be those challenges. And so as long as you're, I don't want to say prepared for them because nobody can really be prepared, but
Yeah.
as long as you're aware that they're going to happen,
Yeah.
it helps you get through them.
I'm a big, I'm a big advocate of like seeing and understanding spiritual attacks as they are, like at face value. Mm-hmm. Like, Leslie was just saying, like, the devil hates a godly marriage. And so what is he going to do? He's going to attack the marriage. He's going to attack the marriage through a few components. He's going to attack it through maybe your children. Mm-hmm. He's going to use the children to cause division in a marriage. He's going to attack it through communication or lack thereof, mm-hmm. right? Which is why, Leslie and I have kind of been harping on communication. He's going to attack it through sex. You know what I mean? Either withholding or denying or not coming together physically and intimately as a husband and wife. He's going to attack it through that because, listen, I'm a red-blooded man, and when when there's a dry spell, so to speak, right? Your mind starts to wander, your thoughts start to wander, your phone starts to wander into areas and places that you have no business going to, because first of all, it's ungodly, it's immoral, but it also greatly and deeply affects the marriage. And then Satan will also really heavily attack a marriage through finances. Right? And I know some of the bigger arguments that we've had, have they not been because of money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't elaborate, but
okay.
but no, really, communication, sex, finances, your kids, these are all areas of attack that the devil really likes to get at when it comes to separating a man from his wife and a wife from her man. But really, what's some of the challenges of a godly marriage? Man, it's just maintaining it.
Yeah,
it's maintaining it, man, and it's keeping it. It's if you ever stop working at marriage, you've messed up, man.
Given up.
You've messed up, and because you never stop being married. First of all, you should never stop being married, and you never really can stop working at your marriage, because, man, listen, each day presents new challenges. Each day presents new opportunities, though, as well. And it's work. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Leslie knows this because I've spoken it before. Being married is literally the most hardest and difficult job I've ever had in my life. Being a husband, it really is the most hardest and difficult job that I've ever had in my life. But it has also been the most rewarding job that I've ever had in my life. Not that marriage is a job, but I mean, if it takes work, I guess you can call it a job, right? But really, being married, man, it's hard. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. It's hard to be married, but it's even harder, right? Would you agree, to maintain a godly marriage? Mm-hmm. It's one thing to be married, but it's another thing to have a godly marriage, because the world wants to attack it and destroy it and tear it down, and the devil's going to do anything and everything he can to disrupt the family and the nucleus, the nuclear family, and because when you can disrupt the family, when you can disrupt the marriage, then I mean the societies and the civilizations collapse. I mean that's textbook, man, Satan right there, and so. Those are some of the challenges, man. Be aware. Communication, sex, finances, children, just being aware of the spiritual attacks when they come. Again, knowing what they are at face value, and calling it what it is, man. They are spiritual attacks, no doubt. With that being said, I think we're gonna move on to our final question of revelation communication. I'm in another world this morning, another time zone, excuse me. That's my normal podcast of love and marriage. So a question came in from one of our big supporters and encouragers. This September will be 40 years of marriage for us. What would be your advice from the scriptures in maintaining a godly marriage? Why don't you speak a little?
You've been stealing the spotlight. I don't know what to say. If you've made it 40 years, you've pretty much got it down. That's all I got to say. I mean, they've got way more background than we do at this point. Another
right.
15 years on top of us. But my best piece of advice is know your lane and stay in it. Does that make sense? Like, as a wife, follow what the scriptures say in Ephesians and just be that godly wife. And for the husband, the same thing. Be the leader of the family. If you're the leader of the family and you're leading the family in a godly way, the godly marriage should be able to maintain itself, even though, as you already said, it is a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, Ephesians chapter 5 really is sort of the blueprint for a godly marriage, right? We know that, it encourages the wives to submit themselves unto the husbands as unto the Lord. And further down in verse 25, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself a sacrifice for it. Really, man, just again, as you said it, stay in your lane. A husband can't be a wife and a wife can't be a husband, despite what this freaking ridiculous culture wants to tell you. But man, with that being said too, I love, man, I'm a big closet WWF or WWE fan, and wow. The Rock, when he was coming up in the 90s as a wrestler, he had this saying. Well, he had many sayings which were hilarious, but one of them was "Know your role."
Right.
Know your role. Wives, know your role. It's not the husband's place to tell you what your role is, because the scriptures do that. Mm-hmm. And husbands, know your role. It's not your wife's place to tell you. The scriptures do that. And I think as long as we are applying the biblical blueprints to a marriage, regardless of whether or not you're a newly married couple or you've been married for 40 years, 50 years, however long it is, as long as those blueprints are being applied to the marriage, you will have a successful marriage, despite the trials, despite the tribulations, despite the ups and downs, despite the challenges that we've spoken to. If you go back to I think the foundations established in the scriptures for what a marriage should look like, you're going to have a successful marriage. And listen, our relationship with Jesus really is the perfect example of a union, right? Mm-hmm. The church is the bride of Christ. Christ is the bridegroom, and there's a perfect example, really, of Jesus sacrificing himself, serving the church, giving his life for it. Being the protector of it, the comforter of it, as the bridegroom. Hello, men, are you listening? And really, just the church serving the Lord and being the bride of Christ. And so, again, the scriptures are just. That's where you get your direction on how to be a wife and how to be a husband, and so hopefully that's an encouragement to you. Listen, I know I've said that this is the last episode of Love and Marriage, and at least maybe for this season it is. But if you guys have any more questions that maybe you need answered or want answered offline, privately, personally, again, please know that Leslie and I are available for that. You can contact her at via email at leslie@revchurchcv.com, or you can contact me, Solomon, at revchurchcv.com. Go to the website if you want, www.revchurchcv.com. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can find my contact information there, as well as leave a message directly from the website. With that being said, I want to kind of throw out there that one of the things the Lord has put on my heart is really doing like a podcast, like a video meeting with other couples, and maybe having them share their testimony, share their journey, and really talk about how the Lord has been blessed their marriage and guided them through their marriage. I know one of our church family reached out to us last week, which was super encouraging, wanting to be a part of something like that. And so the Lord has put it on my heart to maybe ask some married couples to maybe join you and I via like a video conference, Zoom, and we'll publish it on YouTube, and we'll get it out there for everybody to watch. But I would love to just hear the testimonies of other couples, no matter how how long they've been married, about how the Lord has worked in their life, and what they've been able to learn from the scriptures when it comes to being a husband or being a wife. And so hopefully those people that this may want to reach out to are not too camera shy, but hopefully that's something we can get done in the very near future. I should be returning to normal Revelation communication maybe next Tuesday. We'll see how that goes, but in the meantime, thank you so much again for being a part of this season of Love and Marriage, and we certainly hope that this has been an encouragement to you. Thank you,
You're
babe,
welcome.
for joining me and getting yourself all beautied up this early in the morning for me. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you later. All right? Bye.